welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. We are still doing our little drive here. Wow. And the sun is still, the sun is down, but in the screen it looks like the sun is pretty bright. Whatever, we're doing fine. So, I really want to talk about political independence and why you can vote. I don't know how to go about this, because the thing here is that I have to talk like I'm a Druze, okay? I have to talk as if it's not a lack of principle, but I have to talk as if I'm willing to work with the world that is. As this is expressed in the Havamal, that's a Norse book of wisdom kind of thing. There are reasons to be cynical, but you don't necessarily distance yourself completely from the world just because the world isn't the pure thing that you think it should be in an idealistic universe. Okay, and in terms of political thought, I don't want to get into the election right now, because as I film this, there's an election. I'd like to make this into a little bit broader of a thing. When you look at a candidate for office, for example, do you look at something that is pleasing to you? Do you look at whether or not you think they're qualified for the position? Do you look at whether or not there's some reason why the position requires qualifications beyond being an adult citizen? What is it that you're looking at? And what I'm looking at is that candidate who will do the least harm or the most good in a long-term situation. Okay, I will bring it to the Trump issue because I think that it's a very interesting illustration. We have Donald Trump running for president, right? And people say that he is horrible because he's super authoritarian. I'm not really seeing that, but okay. On a personal level, I think that when he's in charge of his stuff, he likes to be in charge. I can understand that. Domineering. I'm not sure that authoritarian in the governmental sense is really where he's at, but I can understand the idea of personally domineering, personally authoritarian, okay. And if you're like the captain of the ship, then you're the captain of the ship. Okay, I get it. But here's the thing. If people fight every action of authority and get court decisions and laws and restrictions that restrict the ability of the president to act with overbearing authority, then doesn't that mean that Donald Trump's presidency is a net benefit? Like, if your goal is to not have presidents act with an excess of authority, then we're in a situation right now where you've got the courts, and you've got Congress, and you've got demonstrations, you've got riots, you've got cities on fire, all to try to prevent the president having the right to issue executive orders. Okay. Awesome. But do you really think that you're going to have that same fight if you have a Democratic president that the media supports, especially with a Democratic Congress? Not really. Even the courts aren't going to be much benefit in that scenario. This is one of those things that you really want to think about. Is Donald Trump necessarily a negative? Do you vote for him because you like his policies, or do you vote for him because you like the scene, the scenario? I have similar situations with local politics quite often. Okay, Trump is not a unitary example. He just happens to be a very interesting example right now. So, ask yourself that question. Is a vote for Trump actually a vote for fascism? Or is it a vote for government restriction of the executive branch? Deep question. Interesting question. Has a little more nuance to it than you would expect. And I have someone behind me who is driving with their brights on, which is really annoying. But that's life. And I just push that yellow light really hard to get away from them. So, what other situations do you see where you might want to vote not for the candidate? And, there are a lot of people who I'm friends with who think that is just bad. You should never, ever be forced to vote for a candidate you don't 100% like. But these are people who never get anything done politically. These are people who won't go to a party meeting. They won't go to an event. They won't go to a rally. Politics is the art of the possible. Politics is an art of compromise. But part of that idea is that you also have to look at what your interests actually are. My core interest is an increase in individual liberty. Now, that hopefully is through legal means. So I would like a government that provides me with an ever-increasing legal ability to increase my individual liberty. But I'm also smart enough to know that the non-legal, extra-legal, illegal methods are also important. People do live on the edges or outside of the edges of society, okay? It is functionally illegal to not have a permanent home address. And that's fine. There are lots of people who kind of cheat that, live on the edges. The ability to do that, to be outside of those boundaries, is very important. So politically, I would look at that, and I would look at Donald Trump, and I would say that he's going to provide the messiest set of government wrangling, which means it's easier for people to slip through the cracks. And, people want to slip through the cracks. The Trump reference is a little weak on that one, but in political terms, I would vote for someone or a situation that is unenforceable. That would actually be okay. It's something that there's always side effects, there's always unintended consequences. It's a very important thing to look at, unintended consequences. It's a book by John Ross also, which has nothing to do with the politics I'm talking about right now, but it's an important book. Think about it. Do you vote for a person, or do you vote for your political goals? Right now, a lot of people are voting for a person based on personal hate. I don't think that's very smart. Chill out, stay sideways, have a good one.